Okay. What's going on? Yo, what's up? What's up? Sebastian. Getting a lot of people jumping in. Cool. All right. All right. I'll wait another minute. Hello, Nicholas. Nicholas_Edwards. Margarita Boy. All right, there you are. You remember that name? Hello, Julian. There's a few people in here I actually know. Cool. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hello, hello. How's it going? Excuse me. Don't touch your face. I fucking touch my face constantly. All right. Okay. One more minute. I'll wait one more minute, let a few more people. Berent _Pascal. It's funny, I was going to have a show in Berlin, at a gallery in Berlin this summer, and obviously that's not happening now. So when does your art come to Germany? That's a good question. I was excited about that. That would have been my first international solo show. But yeah, that's not happening now. So stay tuned. If you get on my email list, subscribe to the email list. I tell everyone about stuff on the email list before everywhere else. Okay. I will wait just really quick, about 30 more seconds, one more minute, and then we will we'll get the official party started. I hope you brought your confetti and your cake and your drinks. Yep. Okay. Cool. Got a lot to cover today. So, yeah, Berent _Pascal, I agree. Okay, so I think it's about that time. People jumped in quick, which is great. I think that's a sign that like the notices and the posts and the emails sort of help. Hey, if any of you, if you can tell me, if you can tell me if you could just sort of comment really quickly, I'd appreciate it. And let me know if you heard about this. If you heard about this from my post or you're on my email list, I'd appreciate it. Or maybe you just said you happen to be on right now. But if you can like comment in the comments really quickly about that, I'd appreciate it. I'll go back through later on, even if I don't get to them right now. Just let me know if you heard about this from my post yesterday or my email. You're on my email list. Sippa Heron, thank you. You just happen to be on Nicholas Edwards _Edwards. Okay. Annalie McKenzie, thank you. Good. Okay, see, this is what happens. I have a whole bunch of stuff I want to talk about, and then I get distracted reading the emails. Okay. Anyway, hey, some of y'all feel free, if you got a pen and paper and you want to jot a few things down as I talk, that's cool. I've been meaning to say that for a few days, the last few weeks I've been doing these, and I haven't, from the stories, and I haven't really, I keep forgetting to do that. First, before I get started, I just want to say thank you for the people who've emailed me or sent me messages saying they appreciate these talks. You know, again, it's not my normal routine, and I don't love doing. I don't know. I'm not really used to doing these, and I'm still getting used to it even after a few weeks. But I keep getting messages from people who like them and appreciate them. So I'm here to help. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to move quickly through the housekeeping that I normally start with. The bell has rung. We're all here. Recess is over. Hey, Natasha Wright. All right, good to see a friend on here. Hope you're well. Okay, so really quickly before I get into it, really quick housekeeping. I want to remind everyone that there is a press kit on the press page of my website. If you click on the link in my profile, or you can just go to howardsherman.com, www.howardsherman.com. You can click on press, and you will see a link at the top of the page and a button at the bottom of the page that where you can select this new press kit called Press Kit 2020 that we just put together. And it's got a bunch of hyperlinks in it that tells all the details and information about certain work, just sort of an overview of mostly recent work. It's a very small little PDF file. Please, please share it with friends, family, most importantly, art collectors and other people who might be interested. I'd appreciate it. The other thing is I've been posting these videos, these Instagram live videos, the last few weeks. I've been posting them on the press page, so you can see those videos there too. I missed the first couple and accidentally deleted them, which is a shame because I thought the first one was great. But the last few, I've been putting them up there, and we'll see how that goes. I haven't decided if I'm going to continue to do that or not. If you feel like commenting about that, that would be great. Let me know if you like them on the press page or not. I've heard a little bit of feedback about that, which has been positive. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. Okay. One thing that's really important for me to tell you all here is for those of you who are here, I've got a little unusual surprise for you towards the end of the video. So if you stay tuned, there's a little surprise in a little while. I'm grinning, but I don't know. I thought this through a minute ago. Hopefully it'll go well. Like most of these, I'm just sort of spontaneous about and impulsive about some of the things I do and say. But anyway, stick around. I've got a surprise for you. Okay. So what I want to do, I want to do two things. I want to show y'all another new piece and talk about it. And then I've got a few random thoughts about creativity. That seems to be the 2-point pronged attack of the last few weeks, which could change at any time. But for now, it seems to be working for me and scratching an itch for you, so to speak. So I am going to walk over and flip around and share something with you now. Are you ready? Just say ready. Let me see. Come on, everyone, say ready. Ready? Ready. Hold on. Okay, there you go. So it's a painting I did. It's a recent painting. Did it towards the end of last year. And this painting is called, I'll back up a little bit more. This painting is called In This Room, We Can't Touch the Floor. This is on my website as well if you want to see a few of the details about it. And in this room, we can't touch the floor. So if you go to the gallery tab, it's under collage paintings. Anyway, what can I tell you about this one? This is a recent painting, but as many of the recent things go, the surface has gotten a little bit flatter, even though there is some collage involved in it. And the form, you could tell if you're familiar with some of my small works on paper, the form in this one's being influenced by a lot of the small drawings that I'm always doing while I'm working on the larger things. Although what's interesting about that is my drawings have been bigger in the studio lately and not as many small ones, but that's a whole nother topic we can talk about later. Anyway, in this room, we can't touch the floor. I'm real excited about the color palette and there's this sort of essential quality to everything that was done in this particular piece that I'm excited about. And as energetic as it might feel due to the marks or the colors or whatever, it's pretty essential and in a way kind of economical. There's an economy to everything in this one that I really, really like quite a bit. So I'm going to walk in and excuse the shaky camera work. I never claimed to be a pro. And I'll just sort of pan around from top to bottom You let me know if that feels good. Thank you, Sabrina. Sabrina Bertello. Love your art from Argentina. Hello to Argentina. So if that feels pretty good, you just say it feels good, feels bad. You can see a lot of the, it's a deep orange. It's not red. It might read like red on your screen depending on how you got your monitor calibrated, but it's meant to be sort of a deep, deep orange. And what I've realized over the years, especially with certain colors like orange and red, they're sometimes labeled depending on the brand of paint you use. Things that are actually more orange are labeled red. And sometimes maybe vice versa depending on the brand. Oh! Okay. A little more deep, deep, deep. You can sort of see the weave of the canvas. Almost done. Feel okay? What do you think? You good, people? I don't really normally, it's funny, this is the first time I've actually gotten this close, but you can sort of see all the discrepancies and irregularities going on and the different ways in which that's happening. And all of that information is actually very important to me, You can, in some paintings even more than this one, you see the underdrawing and the underpainting. Anyway, let me back up a little bit again. This is what I am sharing today. I very much like this painting. Did it in the studio in New York. Anyway, before I pan out, one last little look. Okay. So, boom. Hopefully y'all were cool with that. So, I'm gonna go back over here and talk for a minute, and I wanted to talk a minute about another sort of internet rabbit hole that I went down. I don't know how it happened, but I ended up watching a YouTube video. I ended up watching a YouTube video about Agnes Martin. And it's interesting because her work, obviously, if you're familiar with this artist, her work is nothing like what I make. And her work is probably very different from what a lot of y'all make, based on what I've seen from the people who've been following me on here. And I just wanted to, share a few thoughts I got, and I wrote down a few of her quotes, but I also have a few thoughts based on her quotes about some of the things she said in the video. So in the video, she talks about self-defined limitations. And I think that that's pretty interesting because sometimes these self-defined limitations or rules in your work, or maybe even in your life, I guess we could swap those two words, but let's just say for the sake of this argument, self-defined limitations or rules in your work can sometimes be a good thing, which, I've always verbally to my friends chafed at a lot of restrictions and rules and having a problem with authority. But to a certain extent, reining yourself in with a certain amount of rules and limitations in the work might sometimes be a good way for you to sort of make progress in your work. And you learn, and obviously when you're first starting out and you're taking classes or you're in art school or something like that, you learn a lot of the rules. And I think, as cliche as it sounds, you do have to learn all the rules before you can break them, right? Makes sense to me. I subscribe to that, and most of the really great work that I like subscribes to it too. So she talks a little bit about self-defined limitations, but one of the quotes I wanted to share with you that I think is really, really interesting is she said, music people accept, well, hold on, let me start again. Okay, I'm going to start again. A quote from Agnes Martin. In music, people accept pure emotion, but from art, they demand explanation. I'm going to read it again. In music, people accept pure emotion, but from art, they demand an explanation. I thought that was a really good quote. And what's interesting is that she felt as though, as I dug deeper into this video, she felt as though her work was pure emotion, emotion of the sublime, emotion of happiness, a full range of emotions. And I guess she really didn't want to have to explain her work. And we live in a society, both in the marketplace and academia and everything in between, where an explanation is expected. And I do think that that's important when you're trying to figure out how to make what you're going to make. And I think the clearer you can explain what you're doing, the better off you're going to be executing what you're doing. But in the end, you, like I've said in previous videos, you want things to tug at the heart before they tug at the head. So I think that's how you're going to pull someone in from across the room. So I think that's something really important, an important point to bring up. And then another quote she mentions is that I think is really interesting is she says, "We don't pay any attention to our abstract feelings." And then I thought about that for a while, and I asked myself, well, why is that? Why don't we pay attention to our abstract feelings? And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, maybe there's a couple of reasons for this. One, we think in language. Maybe that's part of it. And then the other thought I had was, well, why don't we pay attention to our abstract feelings? Well, maybe because we want easy answers. Everyone wants an easy answer. And sometimes the answers aren't that easy, especially when it comes to certain feelings, right? She tells a story, or her gallerist who's in the video tells a story, which I thought was really interesting, where he was at Agnes Martin's apartment at the time with his young daughter, might have been 11 years old, and she had like a rose in a vase somewhere. She had, or a bouquet of roses, and the young girl the child was looking at the rose, and Agnes Martin grabbed the rose and she showed it to the child. She had it held in front of her like this. Pretend there's a rose here. And she said, "Is this rose beautiful? Do you think this rose is beautiful?" And the child said, "Yes, the rose is beautiful." And then she took the rose and hid it behind her back. And she said to the child, "Is the rose still beautiful?" And the child said, "Yes." Which brings up the next point, which is beauty is actually in your mind, right? I thought this is an interesting story I wanted to share with y'all. But she said painting is a map to your inner responses, and the painting is a key to the art that's already within you. Beauty being in the mind. Anyway, I thought that was a really interesting analogy. I wanted to share it with y'all. Ryan Adams, you're a genius. Hey, thanks, man. I love your music. I listen to it all the time. Appreciate that. Anyway, so I think those are some really important points. And as usual, the time on these things really goes. I just dropped my paper. The time on these things really goes quickly, and I think we're probably at the point where I am going to share my little. I'm going to share my little surprise. So, okay, I'm going to flip the camera around. I want to show y'all something here. Okay. Last year, I did this little sort of micro catalog, and I am going to, for lack of a better way of doing this, I'm going to put it down on the chair and flip it open. I did these little micro catalogs with a lot of recent work last year, and I'm not going to flip through all the pages, but anyway, actually what's interesting is there's that, and here it is in real life. Let's see if I can back up a little. How cool is that? Mini me, right? How about that? Hold on, let me do this one more time. Let's give it a clear shot. That's kind of cool, isn't it? Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure that out. Anyway, little micro catalog. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to give away 5 of these little micro catalogs, and here's how you're gonna get them. Okay, what I need for you to do is answer a question. You're gonna have to email me the answer. You're gonna have to put the answer in the subject line, and this is how that's gonna work. So I'm going to ask a question. You're going to email me the answer. Do not direct message me the answer. You're going to have to email me the answer. And the first 5 people that answer me correctly, I will send them a micro catalog. We got a deal? Say deal. Okay, so here's the question. Now, before I ask the question, when you email me, the answer needs to be in the subject line of the email. If the answer is not in the subject line of the email, you do not win. The first 5 people who email me the correct answer in the subject line will win. If you do not get a reply from me, that means you did not win. There's a good chance that the 5 winners will win very quickly. So it won't be the kind of thing that drags out for 24 or 48 hours. But that's the deal. You got it? You understand? Okay. So here it is. Remember, if I don't reply to your email, that means you did not win, okay? Okay. Here's the question. A record titled Women and Children First was released in 1980. Name the band. The first 5 people to answer that correctly will win a micro catalog. You ready? I'll repeat it again. A record titled Women and Children First was released in 1980. Name the band. Okay? Send me an email. Name the band. Send me an email. Put the answer in the subject line, and you might win one of those mini catalogs. On your mark, and set, go. Go. Anyway, that is that. I'm now going to take, now that we're about 20, we're almost 25 minutes into this, I'll take some questions and then we'll wrap it up. We'll call it a day. I like to keep them kind of not too long, you know. When it's all said and done, ideally I like to keep it about 30 minutes. Sometimes they hang into closer to 45 minutes, but let's try and keep it down to 30 minutes. So I will take questions now. And yeah, you gotta look at the studio gear here, right? Okay. Questions? No questions? Good question from Annalie Mackenzie. Annalie, I appreciate the question. Easy answer. Do you work on the floor much? I do work on the floor. I go back and forth between the floor and the wall. It changes. Sometimes I'm working a lot on the floor. Sometimes I'm not. It just very much depends on what I'm doing. But I go back and forth between the floor and the wall. I love that question. And you'd think I'd get asked that question as much as I get asked, what's your inspiration? How do you know when it's finished? How do you stay motivated? But I never get that question. And I appreciate you asking that question, Annalie Mackenzie. We got a few more. The questions are really coming in. Okay, a really quick formal question. I can take care of this one really quick. Joel Woodart Art, how do you adhere your collages pieces? Okay, how do you adhere your collage pieces to your surfaces? I usually use some sort of acrylic medium. It's funny, I ran out of like this heavy gel medium, which I really like for bigger, heavier pieces of canvas. And I started to have to use some matte medium the other day, which doesn't quite work as well if I'm working with heavier things. But I go back and forth between matte medium and a heavier similar medium, depending on how big or heavy the thing is. And because I'm working primarily with water-based acrylic paints, it's acrylic. So acrylic medium. You can start with matte medium if you're working small. I hope that helped. Again, someone wants a request to be in the live video. It's not going to happen today. Okay, I think I missed a couple of questions. Mike the Great 92, I just answered that. You want the brand? I use different brands. I use Mike the Great 92. What type of paints do you work with? I work with mostly acrylic paints. I'll use some oil. It's funny, actually. I picked up yesterday, I just started experimenting with a water-soluble, wax-based mixed media crayon that was recommended to me by a friend. And I liked it, although I looked it up on the company's website, and you're supposedly supposed to have Fix-It, and I don't like using fixative, but I liked working with it. But I can tell that I'm very hard on my materials. I get real fucking physical in there, and I can tell that I'm gonna crush the delicate little crayon too quickly, but it's fun to play with it. But I use various brands. I like Nova a lot, Nova paint. I have to order it. I order it by the gallon, mostly acrylic. I hope that answered the question, Mike the Great 92. Couple more questions. We're almost at 30 minutes already. Jeez, it goes quick. Diamond_decoration_house. What paint? Privact? I have no idea what the word. I've never heard the word Privact. I don't know what that means. What paint Privact? Anyone know what the word Privact means? I've never seen that before in my life. Okay, that might be it. Any more questions? We got all the formal questions, all the process people today. Anything else? Are you sure? I'm skipping a couple of questions because I can't. Sabrina, go look at some other videos. Any more questions? That might be it. We might keep it short and sweet today. Clock it in at under 30 minutes, huh? Maybe I missed some stuff. Did I miss some questions? All right, that might be it, huh? Anyone else? Okay, the questions start to flood in. I just needed to wait. Someone mentioned last week there's a bit of a delay. Joel Wood Art, do you consider your paintings to be non-objective? That's a good question. Not really. I think I find a lot of figures and forms in the work, which is ironic. I was fortunate to be on the cover of that art history book called Texas Abstract, and ironically, as seen in a previous video, on the cover there's like a couple of rows of cartoonish teeth and eyes and sort of figurative references. So I've really never sat too comfortably in one camp or the other, although it's very easy for people to, want to put a simple label and marketing thing on everyone. But if you spend a little time with a lot of my work, you start to find objective references, even though they might read like non-objective paintings, depending on how you're using that term. It's such a broad-based term. I think people get too hung up on that stuff. And if you go back through the other videos that I've posted from these Instagram lives, if you go back through those on my press page, you'll sort of see that the way I talk about work, and when I do these individual critiques with people, the way I talk about things, I try not to get too hung up on non-objective or objective or figurative or landscape or abstract or not. I kind of dive deeply into sort of the formal rigor of the work, because I think in the end that's going to be what saves the work and keeps people caring about the work long after a certain marketing term or historical term goes in or out of fashion. So thank you for that question, Joel Worded Art. Another really good, simple, straightforward question that I haven't really gotten much. And I agree. Yeah, well, good. You see some faces there too, Joel. That's awesome. Okay. Jewel in Pinkston, what books are you reading? That's good. Well, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I've been revisiting How to See by David Sally a lot. I've read it. I've reread it. I zipped through. As you can tell by these talks, I've spent a lot of time in New York the last 3 years, surrounded by art critics. I've been reading a lot of a lot of art criticism. I've been putting fiction down and picking it up and putting it down, but really I've been diving deeper into a lot of art criticism and essays and collections of essays and things like that. And part of it too is it helps sort of feed the posts that I spend a lot of time writing every week. So I'm revisiting How to See. Last weekend I did How to Be an Artist by Jerry Saltz. That was a quick read over the course of a weekend, but I recommend that to a lot of beginners. Maybe I'll talk about that at a later post. But so yeah, I think students can benefit a lot from that book, and there's some good reminders for working artists in that book. Although I really would be very apprehensive about taking advice on how to be an artist from a non-artist or a self-proclaimed failed artist. There's still some useful insight, and his heart's in the right place. And so I kind of, anyway, so that's what I've been reading lately. And I've also been tipping back through essays from Donald Judd writings, and rereading a lot of those things. So I'm kind of rereading a lot of things I've read lately. I don't know, just nitpicking, and I hope that helps. Julian Pinkston, if you can recommend a good book, something really good that's out of the wheelhouse for me, I'd appreciate it. I need to, in these self-quarantined, what are we calling it now? Not quarantined, self-isolation times or whatever. I need to shake it up and get some new content. Where can I buy your book, Burlet Art Studio? Are you talking that art history book? I don't have anything to do with it. If you want to look it up on Amazon, you can. Okay, we're on to wrap it up pretty soon. It's like coming at 35 minutes. The art history book is called Texas Abstract, Modern, Contemporary. You can find references to it on my site. I have nothing to do with it. The book publisher is Fresco, but you can probably find it on Amazon if you can find it. It's out of print, and I know people are like holding it for hostage there, but there might be a cheaper copy. Okay, I think we've got a really good question here, and that might be one of the last questions today. Sipati Heron says, what must an artist never do? For lack of a better answer, right off the top of my head, my first impulse is to say stop being curious, but you could also say that about what should a human never do. But that's my very first impulsive answer to that very what could be a very complicated question. What must an artist never do? An artist should never stop being curious. Anyway, I think that we're good. Are we good? You need anything else you need me to answer really quick before I call it a day? I appreciate y'all tuning in. Maybe we'll have some winners on that little micro catalog. So, okay, that's it. Signing off. Email me if you need to, and visit the website. Okay. Thank you. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.